Welcome to Content Crusaders, the podcast where we save the world one Instagram account at a time by taking ugly brands and make them beautiful in around 20 minutes.
Hosted, as always, by Sydney-based content creators Meghan and Dominic Loneragan. We've won a few awards for our blog Citizens of the World, but more importantly, we make a living doing what we do right here, helping businesses translate their story on social media.
Join us as we visit a random geolocation from across the globe, find a business, and hack how to update their social strategy in real time.
P.S. guys, we use the term ugly pretty loosely. We just mean businesses who aren't traditionally sexy or easy to photograph beautifully because, where's the fun in that?
Hey, Content Crusaders, welcome to episode 6. We managed to get 5 done, and so now
we're out of practice.
We had a little hiatus just getting some work out the door, but Dom has some itchy feet about a topic that he's been begging me to talk about ever since we started Content Crusaders. And I said, hold off, give me 5 episodes, and then if you still want to talk about it, you can talk about it. So
cool.
So you're pumped about it.
The 5th one, we get to talk about usages. It's kind of like the 5th one, we get to interview Gary V.
It's the 6th one.
The 6th one, sorry, well, I think it's something that we've talked about a lot through...
Wait, we're just going to introduce what we're talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry.
So this episode is all about photography and video usages.
Well, not just photography and video usages, but
copyright?
Usages, copyright, and where it stands for everybody, really.
And the reason this is such an issue is...
it's not an issue.
It's not an issue. Well, I'm coming at it from... Dom's a photographer. He's a videographer. He's extremely talented. And I am kind of the...
You're a content creator.
I'm a content creator. World. So I'm from the other side of the argument where you kind of copy, paste. I'm from the generation that grew up with Napster, right? So not that I would take pride in
Well, let's just talk about Napster, right? Where is Napster now?
Napster's now like iTunes.
They are gone because it was against the law.
Okay. So the backstory and the history of this is we run an Instagram account called Citizens of the World. We love it. It's our baby. It's amazing. But it's something that is problematic for Dom is he puts out all this wonderful photography. And then one day we were looking through photos of Scotland and we were looking through all these images and then we were like, wait, isn't that your photo, Dom? And another photographer had screenshotted Dom's photo or landscape from Scotland and just put it up on Instagram and said he shot it. And I'm sure that happens all the time.
It
really freaked you out.
That was just one. That's one of... It's probably like that little axe chipping away at a block.
Really?
And I probably got to that stage where I was like, oh, and I'm torn. I am torn in this world because there are 2 trains of thought. There are get your content shared out to the world so people know you, which would be the Gary V, thoughts of the world.
And that's always been my stance in our relationship is, just put it out. And so we've had a lot of arguments about that.
And we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
So there's that stance. And then there's the stance that you go and do something with a brand. This is talking Citizens of the World. You go and do something with the brand. You may not even do something with the brand. You might just go into their restaurant, cafe, hotel, take a photo, and then they use it as content on their platform without asking.
You know what? But this is why it's good that I'm in on this conversation because I will act as the restaurant or the hotel and go, well, technically, you're an influencer. You've used my hotel as a location for a shoot.
No, I haven't. I've gone in there and taken a photo of their food and they've used that on their platform. How's that any different to going into a restaurant as an influencer and going, hey, I want free food. Can I come in and I'll put you on my platform?
All right, we're going to give you a little bit of backstory because as long as time has existed, there has been this sort of struggle between influencers. You know, there's the stereotypical image of an influencer asking for free food from a restaurant and getting and expecting free things because they're an influencer.
I'm not about it.
I know you're not about it. And I know that but that's a whole other episode that we'll do. So you can understand why restaurants and hotels sometimes feel like, well, I've given this person free food and accommodation, so I should be able to regram their shot.
I get that. But what happens if you go as a paying customer and I take photos of their food and then they use it on their platform?
Yes. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, hang on a minute. I can't go in there as a paying customer and you're taking my image that I get paid for whatever, I would charge out and you're using it. We've had it once where we went to a venue and it ended up as a photo of Lockie and Meghan and it ended up as a Mother's Day campaign.
Yeah.
So, and we went there as paying customers. It wasn't like we just went there.
So I think this
is copyright as a general, not just Dom having a bitch and a moan between us. This is how I'm talking about copyright as a general conversation and where it should be at.
So how about, in order to make this easier for Dan to edit and for everyone to understand, why don't you break down copyright before social media? What was it like before?
What do you mean before social media? Copyright has not changed.
It's weird that I say that.
I know.
Weird that I say that.
It's scary that you say that.
Yeah,
right?
but it's...
So I will read you. When you say social media, you are saying Instagram.
Well, Instagram was the first platform for brands to really come
No, it
on
wasn't.
and market.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Twitter. We had other platforms where people were putting images up and they were shared out. Tumblr.
Tumblr was a massive issue for copyright. Lots of people taking photos and putting them on their Tumblrs.
But it rolled and it linked into you, so you could find the source of it pretty much.
If you guys want to know what Tumblr is, for those who don't know what it is just a blogging platform where you retumble. It's kind of like a retweet different people's content onto your own blog.
So
it was really
the big issue that came through was with Instagram. And I'm going to share the community guidelines. Let's just talk about copyright. So copyright is whose ownership is to that whatever. So you could have copywriting for your copyright for your writing, your thoughts, your images, your anything that you put a copyright down onto.
Yeah.
You have copywriting rights to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of imagery, now different countries have different levels of copyright. I'm going off the American and also kind of the Australian, but in America recently, if you were deemed as a human or a non-animal, the person who pressed the button, they have the copyright in terms of photography. So it doesn't matter if I set the whole shoot up and I give the camera to Meghan and she takes the photo, she owns copyright to that image because she pressed the button.
Oh, right. Interesting.
Right? So if you were on it's the interesting thing, if you ever handed your iPhone over to someone and then they got that footage because you asked them to get a photo of you and then a whale came in the background and crashed and, crashed a boat, they own it. Not you because it's your phone. They own it.
Oh, that's like the question of the lottery ticket. If I give you $1 and you win the lottery, is it my money or your winnings?
Yeah, so they own it, right?
And I think
the reason I say a human is because we would have all heard the selfie, the animal selfie,
the monkey selfie
recently, which was, I think, David Slater, photographer, set up the camera. And I think really, from what I would pick up from it, he spun the yarn to go, oh, nah, that he took it. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah, because it's pretty cool.
Because it's a
and
cool
monkey's
story.
Taking his own
But then
photo.
the problem
He
is
couldn't make money out of it.
it ended up on Wikipedia, thank you, which then if Wikipedia take it or it ends up on there, it becomes public rights to everything.
Did not know that.
It's a public account, so everything is public.
Yeah.
So copyright is the person who takes the image. So influencer.
And this is relevant to you guys as anyone who uses Instagram or shares images in a public way.
And this also comes down to, the model or the photographer.
Yeah.
And this is a big thing
What's
that
this?
we deal with as well, or I deal with as photographers, is we'll often take photos of a model and it'll end up on someone regramming it, but they'll regram and share the model's name, but they won't include the photographer.
And that's just grinds your gears just from a
so then in terms of sharing, in terms of sharing and gaining followers and credibility, you're not getting any of that. So
you can understand people being a bit like, photographer didn't get tagged, but it's a big deal, isn't it?
Well, it is, because that's how we make money. By selling photos is how we make an income.
Yeah.
So it's something to think about for all influencers and all models and all photographers. It is something to think about where they stand. And I'm not saying that you can't do it, but there needs to be a process, and we're going to get to that process anyway. Yeah. So we're going to cut to that process. But right now, let's have a little break.
Because we just went straight into that.
Hard. We went hard,
Dom's
right?
been holding on to that for a while. Yeah, we really, really just went hard. So we're just going to take a quick 2-second break. And we're going to... Yeah.
And we've said it 4 times. Break time.
And we're back.
Oh, right.
I think that what you're bringing up is like part of a huge, larger, universal question. Because it's not just your industry that's dealing with the dissemination of content easily. I mean, writing, videography.
It's really, this has gone on and affected the magazine world, because when I used to share images out, there was no argument that my name wouldn't be put onto it.
Because magazines got it.
Because they got it. You got credited for it because they were receiving free content.
Magazines were.
They were getting it from a PR agency, and I, as a photographer, would give them usages for PR because I knew that it would benefit me because people would see my name under that image.
So isn't that in Instagram the digital version of that?
Aha. Well, yes.
Yeah.
It is, but not when you don't get your name credited.
And why do you think people have a issue with, well, not an issue, just aren't in the practice of tagging photographers?
I don't know, because I will give images to a PR agency as used for PR usages, and they still won't credit me as the photographer. And I understand that having a feed full of Dominic Loneragan shot this, Dominic Loneragan shot this, Dominic Loneragan shot this. Sure, I understand you don't have to credit every image.
You mean just a tag or something?
But even just a tag or just like some kind of credit.
Everybody here uses Instagram. Basically, a tag is just when you put the little note on the image, so when people tap it, they can see someone's name.
Yeah, shush, Bicky.
But
shush.
I mean, this is.
So I want to just.
There's no clear-cut rule though, Dom, because this whole industry, social media, started out of nowhere. No one started the app going, okay, now we got to think about the content creators going to use it. Now we got to think about the chefs who use it. How are they going to protect their recipe IP?
Right. Okay. So I know that you say that, but we've talked about who owns the copyright, right? So the photographer owns the copyright.
The person clicking the button on your iPhone,
and that's
on your camera,
that's not just
on your video camera.
That's not just
in
social.
Putting the dollar into the slot machine.
That's not just the social. That's broad. That's worldwide.
Yeah, just the general gist.
blanket
I'm
is
here.
that person who creates that content owns it.
Got it.
Stop.
All right.
Okay?
Got
Done.
it. Done.
Copyright.
Got
cool.
it.
Now,
Yeah.
guidelines for Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Top line. They have the short guidelines and the long guidelines. And the first line in the top line guidelines is share only photos and videos that you have taken or have the rights to share.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As always, you own the content you post on Instagram. Remember to post authentic content and don't post anything you've copied or collected from the internet. That you don't have the right to post.
Okay.
Right? Learn more about intellectual property rights.
Yes. So that's Instagram basically covering their butt.
So that is Instagram covering their butt, right?
Or Facebook.
So
Yeah.
if I wanted to be an asshole, I could get someone kicked off because they are not following community guidelines.
Now, this is really interesting. This is the shift we're talking about.
Yeah,
This is
and
what
I could also just send them a bill.
All
just
right,
on
we
top
get
of
it. You're an asshole.
Yes.
Okay. But this is the really interesting phenomenon now, is because I would look probably like every time, like I get it. Like if someone used your image in an alcohol ad one day and we just found it on a whim. Our assistant found it on the internet and you were like, what the fuck? And I totally got you getting shitty about that. But
You're
I'm
talking
about
our image being taken off Instagram
and used
and
in an
being
ad.
used on a website
Yep.
as a background ad and banner ads.
Yes, 100%.
Cool.
So I get that. But I've worked on marketing teams. I'm a digital creator. I mean, my life prior to you was all about the creative chop and change. And because I think isn't there a rule that this is the argument, that a lot of people say is that can I take a certain amount of a creative item, chop it and make it unique, and then it's my own.
So in the US,
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called, but there is a law. They have a caveat within copyright that yes, you can do that, but not in Australia.
Really?
Not in Australia. You cannot take people's content in Australia. Full stop. So, but remember this. So,
but I would
so-
I would consider you a bit of a prick if you came to every single, like a person who wasn't selling anything, who just shared a photo that you loved, that they loved of yours, and tagged you and credited you.
No,
what's
I wouldn't.
What do you do?
So
what's the distinction?
The distinction of annoyance?
Yeah,
I suppose?
yeah. Because now it's not
let's
black and white; it's grey.
Let's talk about the history of Instagram to answer that. Okay, so
Okay.
Instagram started 9 years ago now.
Oh, it's like 10. It's a long time.
When Instagram started out, it was all about self, your life, and what you were doing as an individual.
Commercialized.
It wasn't really commercialized. It hadn't
It's
been thought
amazing
of.
to think of it at
It
this
took
point.
probably
3 or 4 years.
to 5 years for it to become a commercial thing where people were putting their businesses on there.
Yeah. And influencers
and
are coming.
And influencers are coming up. And also people were taking images and having inspiration pages.
People were
right?
posting inspo, but also but photographers, it was a great time to be a photographer because if you had beautiful photos, your career could go gangbusters. What about Alex Stroll? Like, he's a wilderness photographer and he just takes photos in the wilderness, and Instagram made his career.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
So it's not all bad. It's a good thing that it happened for a creator.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. And I think if you're getting your content shared out across the board
Yeah.
and it's getting, oh my God, how good's this guy's photo? It's epic.
Yeah.
Then fine. But if you've got brands that come along and are using your content without
You mean to fill the squares in their
fill the
feed?
squares in their feed, but they're not asking the question in terms of, can I use this content? That is it. So the history was, 1 to 5 years, it was basically personal stuff. And then they introduced business platforms onto Instagram. And then it was, so before then it was just people going, oh my God, I love Dominic Loneragan's work. How beautiful is it? But then beyond that, it was businesses using content to benefit their own business.
See, but I can understand is they would probably look at Instagram as editorial rather than advertising.
How? Why? But I don't. Sorry. Let me just stop. I don't mind if people are doing it. This is the thing. I don't mind.
Okay, so let's talk about
as long as they ask a question and what is the guidelines that I have to pass through to accommodate using the images.
That's a good example. Why don't you do the hotel? Don't say the brand, but the hotel who said, if you give us usages to use this photo, please put this hashtag under the photo. Do you know that, like, if you stay at a hotel and so say you post a photo of you by the pool and then the hotel will go, hey, I love this shot. If you give permission for us to use this photo, just reply with this hashtag. And they've somehow got some legal team or some legalese to cover their bases with that. Have you seen that before?
I have seen that in there's a couple of airlines who have done that where they had algorithms that pulled out the hashtag and it would end up on a website.
Yeah.
I've seen.
But some people love that. And then maybe this comes down to education of the greater public. But and maybe brands are going to hate you after this podcast.
Maybe they will. Maybe they will.
Great. Well, do you just like eating mee goreng for the rest of your life?
Okay, sure. Great. I'm not saying that I'm saying that it needs to be clear conversation with me.
Yeah, so I think we'll get to a solution. So we're going to come back with solutions.
So hang on. In terms of the hashtag and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So here is an example. We were traveling through a country, and the tourism team got in touch about an image, and they messaged me on Insta. And said, we love this image. We'd love to share it. Please read through our terms and conditions if you give us authority.
Yeah, just a regram. And you'd be like, cool, you've got 1 million followers. That sounds nice.
Yes, that sounds nice. Thank you for warming that up. Thank you. So I was like, oh my God, this is happening. We're going to blow up. But the image that you signed off, you actually gave them full rights.
Full usages.
Full usage rights to the whole image.
The whole world.
To the whole world. Yes, the whole world. You could end up
on a billboard and not get paid.
Exactly.
And that is the issue for you. And I would assume for a lot of people would have that issue. Take umbrage with the potentially giving their whole usages away.
Yeah. And I think you've got to remember this too. Like, you got to remember this in the world of TVCs are moving in this way.
Of
they
course.
Are moving
user-generated content. The user is the...
The user is, you look at, insurance videos and they are like basically selfie cameras of kids and family in, so what's the legality of that?
Well, those people
and what
are
are the rights to that?
Those people, I assume,
I hope,
have been reimbursed or compensated for that.
Okay, so can we talk about, because the other night you said to me, oh, it's fine, we'll just pull content off the internet for this little video that we made recently.
Yeah, so we did it, and I can feel my little spidey senses picking up because I recently put together a video that was a composite of a lot of different clips from around the internet. And I said to Dom, look, we'll just Lana Del Rey it, we'll just put it together.
So Lana, if you haven't seen the Lana Del Rey clip, this is a little clip of it. Insert clip here.
Do you have to pay her for using that clip?
I don't know, probably.
Oh,
I don't
shit. You see, this is the thing, you're setting yourself up.
I don't know how it works.
So then Dom was like, you're going to have a copyright issue on your hands. And I was like, okay.
So Meghan was like, no, it'll be fine. No, I'll go Google it. So she came back and...
Lana Del Rey got sued for video games.
Yeah, because she's all the content.
So what I did ended up doing, and it ended up being great because now I can sleep at night a little bit better, is I went and found a lot of public domain video clips.
Yes.
And
okay. So I just
good.
want to, I think we've kind of covered, I hope that we've kind of covered copyright and where it is. Now I want to talk about what the usages are and where they lay.
Can I just quickly, before you get there, say,
Yes.
I want to speak to the marketers out there whose job it is on very minimal budgets to try and fill Instagram. Because if you think for brands, I know it's been 10 years, but essentially it just crept up on brands where they had to create inordinate amount of content for their Insta feeds or Facebook feed. So you can understand marketers are in the office, they've got no budget. The head honchos are like, make Instagram awesome. And so they're like, fuck, I've only got $1,000. How can I make this stretch? So I get why they would reach out to people.
So, okay. Now I'm going to talk about usages now, right? Because we've worked out the fact that the influencer, the photographer, all these people, they own copyright, right?
Yeah.
So what you do when you own the copyright, when you own something, you lease it to somebody else so that they can use it for whatever purpose they are wanting.
Thank you for explaining that.
All right. So
I get it,
this
but
is your
it's good
usage.
to spell it out.
Yeah. So I am giving you a leasing right. People say leasing. People say usages.
Yeah.
I use usages. So typical usages, it goes down in 3 sections. Goes location,
Yep.
term,
Okay.
so length,
Yep.
and where it's going. So the medium.
So it could be, I'm only going to show this ad or this photo in America for 6 months on Instagram.
Yes. So basically, you've got to think about it as how many eyeballs are going to see that piece of content that you have spent 6 hours on retouching.
But how do you measure eyeballs in a time when every brand and every user hopes for virality?
So if we
Everyone's
are talking...
creating content hoping it goes viral. So how can you possibly quantify it?
So then if it's viral, so you were giving a social media usage, right?
So it's
so if it goes
loose.
gangbusters, it's loose. If it goes gangbusters, but if someone said to you, "I am doing an ads campaign," then it's advertising dollars, right?
Yeah, but okay, because back in the day, advertising used to be on your television, but nothing could go viral on your television. It was like if there's 10 people with 10 TVs, that's it. That's how many people saw the thing.
Yep.
Unless you snuck 50 people into your
house. And this is the thing. Realistically, nowadays, usages for social media is one of the lowest and cheapest forms of usage.
But
why? So in terms of advertising and marketing, well, you think about it. Even in terms of
is it because you can't quantify it really? Well, you kind of.
Well, you can. You can in terms of their account has got. So there are things you could say it's under 100,000 people. They've got under 100,000 people.
Yeah, so that's the usage.
But
each person, so say if you paid me to put up a post about Band-Aids, right? And then randomly the post went viral, is that just good luck for the advertiser, or would they have to pay you?
No, that's good luck. That's good luck.
So you can understand people being a little bit like, what the fuck is going on right now?
I get it. I get it.
Now that you've painted this picture of this total no man's land, it's total anarchy out there. Everybody's just winging it and hoping for virality or not knowing what the hell's going on.
Okay, let me clear that for you again.
How do we live in this?
Let me clear that for you again.
Okay.
So imagine if I had taken a photo of the most epic fucking thing ever.
Me.
Okay.
Of me.
I'm talking about something that'll probably, maybe, potentially go viral, but I suppose it could be you.
I could go viral.
If you, it could go viral. Sure.
Maybe I'm viral already.
Yeah. So, okay, you getting eaten by a shark. All right. Okay. Cool.
Yep,
okay. Cool. You got yourself in there. Okay.
It
good.
happened.
You got it live. It happened. Right. I took a shot of that. This is so off topic anyway. But anyway, I got a shot of that.
Yeah.
Someone regrammed it, didn't credit me, and then it went viral from their account, and they got all the credit.
Yeah, so that is the, what do they call it?
That's fucked. Usages, a photographer would typically have a set amount of usages. You ask the question, how would someone keep their their platform full of content. I would go to a photographer and go, I need my Instagram, only my Instagram, full of content.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So a photographer's set of usages, he might have a base rate.
Yeah.
And then he's only giving one usage away, one use.
And what if you create, like being this exclusive photographer for this brand, one of the shots goes viral and it goes gangbusters around the world?
Fine. I think that's what you do.
Is that what you wear for the regular
I think in nowadays, that's what you kind of wear.
Okay, this is interesting. This is nowadays. How do we live in this new world? So that's it. It's just...
in regards to usages, you've got, advertising, billboards, marketing, TV. You used to have DVDs, brochures, and you would get paid a percentage. I will put a link up. How do we do a podcast link?
Yeah, I'll do it for
on
you.
On YouTube? I don't know.
I'll do it.
But I'll give you a link to a good calculator out there for usages, good for marketers, everyone, influencers, all that kind of stuff.
Marketers can use it
in
too.
terms of the cost of
so
what
you
a
don't
photo.
Get taken to the lookiness.
So you can just put in a cost and it works out how much it's going to cost, and you'll be surprised, what your images are actually worth.
Yeah. So people are either going to love us and hate us after this podcast.
Probably. That's cool.
You're there.
I've lived my life. I've had a good life.
I've
had a good life.
I've had a good run.
I've had a good run.
But I think all this information is really good for marketers as well. There's a way to. It's a good idea to hire a photographer to do your content, or a videographer. It covers your butt, so you're not scrambling for user generated content. But
let's also just talk about generated content, right, as well for someone trying to run an account, right? Okay. Instagram's algorithm or its computer that reads and monitors images is out of control.
Yeah.
So if it sees the same image coming up, it will penalize it, much like Google will do it if you have similar content coming up. So it's within your benefit to use your own content, because it will generate a better follow through and action on Instagram. If they were doing it, so a difficult one that I always have trouble with is hotels, because generally they're owned by larger corporations, and there'll be one guy who owns the hotel.
Yeah.
But he's a part of the group.
Yeah.
Right? So he says, hey, come in and take photos of my food menu. And you go, okay, cool. Well, I'll give you usages for PR, social media, and your hotel. And he's like, no. We need to sign off. The whole group needs to sign off, and ownership needs to go to every hotel
so
and
say
the
if
group.
It's like the Holiday Inn or something. Like a huge group.
Say if it's the Holiday Inn, then ownership goes to every hotel, and so they could use your images anywhere in the world for any kind of thing.
But I've seen you do those jobs. I've seen you do
I've done those jobs 100%. And it's generally a conversation through usages.
So you negotiate the salary dependent
on negotiate the
knowing that it's going to go everywhere.
And also I also take risks in terms of, is it going to go everywhere? Like if I went and shot an event at a hotel, the likelihood that content is going to go everywhere is minimal.
Yes.
If I shot...
But it's a punt.
It's a punt. If I shot the food menu at the hotel, the likelihood of that content going everywhere...
Could go in a magazine.
But the magazine is what I would give usages for, because it's PR.
Right.
PR.
Cool.
But I'm talking that you give them advertising usages, you give them every kind of usage, billboard, websites. So the other thing that is within that then is sub-leasing imagery.
So am I...
So if you worked for a architect or if you worked for a tourism board...
Yeah.
A lot of them will ask for subleasing imagery. So that imagery will get shared with the builder, the tiler, the carpenter.
You see that a lot.
So when that
They share the content.
they
in
share the
goodwill.
content and spread
Good
it
faith,
around.
goodwill.
So that's
Everyone who worked on the project, kind of like if everyone worked on a photo shoot, everyone gets a copy of the images. Like the stylist would post the photos.
yes.
The model would post the photo. The
And then it
photographer.
also could just depend on what usages you give that person because, they haven't paid. Like, so a tile or a tile product, for example, if they saw your image, are you going to give them usages to the image because they could end up, it could be Beaumont's tiles.
Yeah, I was about to say.
And it could end, they're a multi-million-dollar business. They can afford a photo for a billboard that they're going to put up using your photo.
Yeah, but most likely no one's going to use a billboard. They're just going to throw money behind an Instagram post.
Potentially, and they could spend $250,000 on an Instagram campaign.
All right. I feel like we might not get to the true answer here.
So let's talk about the solution because I think we've talked about the copyright and who owns the images.
And what about people like me who just like to regram really beautiful quotes?
I always say this, and I've said this throughout the whole podcast, ask the photographer.
It's very hard sometimes to find out who the photographer is. If it's a Franken photo.
Then I'd say don't use it.
Really?
Well, pretty much. Out of respect, I wouldn't use another photographer's content, from
This is me and every listener just sitting back in their chair going how many times have I done that?
Probably.
In my life?
Probably.
And it's
I'm probably one dude screaming in the cloud, but I know there are other photographers out there who feel like they are that one photographer screaming at a cloud.
Yeah, because the photographers don't really unionize, do they?
We've got like a photography association, but I wouldn't say that it's...
You're very active. You're not a very... photographers aren't a very active crew. It's like models don't have a union.
No, but the association is like an association you've got to pay for. It's not like the music industry. So music industry is a perfect example. I played Aerosmith, had it on the radio, and I was sitting in the office working late, and I was cranking it and like headbanging to a little story that I did. It was playing off the computer, and I was doing a story on my phone. That got shut down.
Yeah, of course. So we're hearing a lot about that lately.
Because of the community guidelines and usages.
Because the music industry is really tough.
They're organised,
Dom,
right?
I really do feel like you're going to shut down. If everybody cracks down militantly on content, the internet would cease to function.
Woo-hoo!
No, stop crying, old man. Get with the now. I think
COVID and no internet. Oh my God, can you imagine how many chickens we'd have?
I think the internet is built fundamentally on people sharing people's content, often without credit, but usually to a greater purpose.
I'm all fine with people.
What about meme culture?
I'm
Memes.
all
If
fine with people
every
sharing.
Movie studio cracked down every time we used a meme. Memes like your content and the free flow of content facilitates creativity.
So, okay, I was thinking about this, right? And yes, there would be. Yes, it's harder in terms of because I'm sure there's models going out there going, or actors going, hang on a minute, but what about me?
That's my face in a meme.
That's my face in a meme,
but they're
right?
wearing the cost because they see the bigger picture.
Well, for them, it is their face, so they are getting credibility out of that, potentially credibility, or they're getting a negative.
Such as David Hasselhoff. Do you remember the Hoff meme?
Yeah.
Like when we were kids.
Yeah.
Very old school meme. It was an email meme. When email was the only thing people had. They shared videos of the Hoff doing weird things. David Hasselhoff.
Yeah, but
his whole career was re-energized through that meme.
Yes, because they knew it. They didn't know who the creator was, though, did they?
No one knew who the original creator was. There's a lot of articles of people trying to find out the original creators of memes.
Of the meme, or who was the guy who did the footage, though, like the photo. So this is so that's what I'm saying. Like, Gary V stands very big on this content. If people regram your content, good. If you want to regram this content, fucking go for it. Lovely, because it benefits me in the way that it's me talking.
Yeah.
And it's Meghan talking, and it benefits our brand. Whereas there's no one behind the camera at the moment. Well, there's Dan, but if they said if the videographer behind there was like, hang on, where's my credit?
Yep.
So
Yep.
this is
people share the news, but no one credits the cameraman on the news station who filmed the news stuff. Sometimes, no, like in the news station.
Well, they should. I'm standing with you, news video guy.
Get realistic. Like, I feel you. I'm on your side. I get it. But I just think you're going to lose the fight, like, for pure credit across everything. You're not going to win. You can't beat the internet.
So we're trying to get down to an answer of this. If you were trying to hire a photographer and you're worried about the cost being too much, I would negotiate with him and go, listen, I'm only using this for Instagram. Mm-hmm. I need 5 images for my website. I'll pay you extra for them, but I'll hire you for $1,000 a month and you can produce content for me or whatever it is that you come up with. That, I would say, is the new term of, so that you are outlined with your usages. The other thing with usages is the images that I've got, I can sell on to magazines. I can sell on to other people. So if people are taking them, then I can't sell them. Like musicians, people write music and they sell it off and they get it into a TVC and they make $200,000.
Yeah.
So if people are just taking my imagery, then Lockie doesn't get fed.
Okay. Cool. Now, and just final thoughts on a regular person who wants to regram someone's shots. Can they or can't they? I mean, I know inside you're screaming, no, they can't.
No, they
just
can't.
Realistically.
No.
Let's be realistic.
They can.
What's a way? What is a way around it?
Ask the question.
Okay, so I just drop a DM. Go,
hey man, I love this piece of content.
Can I reshare?
Because the beautiful thing about that and what Instagram want is you are creating a community and some connection, not just some person behind a phone going, cool, that's sick, I'll take that because it's going to build my business.
Yep. It's really interesting wanting to know what Instagram actually wants, like what's their end game, or they want genuine communities.
Well, I sat with them about a month ago and they said they want community engagement. That was one of their biggest things. When they did their last big change of stuff, I can't remember what their algorithm change, and everyone was complaining because they wanted more advertising rights, and they were like, no, this is the reason that we're doing it. And it was to protect people's emotion. It was with that whole...
Well, because the algorithm was promoting things that made people sad, and so they were pushing things that made people happier.
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So now that is a whole other freaking conversation.
Instagram algorithm conversation coming up next.
That's next. But I'm really sorry that this was so passionate, but Dom is extremely passionate, and this conversation was just like a racehorse gunning to get out of the gate.
I think that I've written a blog about it as well, so you can check it out, and I'm going to get this pulled down, what's the word? Typed
Disseminated?
out. Yeah, well,
transcribed.
I'll get this transcribed so you can read it too. But the reason that I wanted to get this out so much is because no one wants to touch it.
No one wants to talk about it.
No one wants to talk about it.
Real quickly, if we're probably going to run out of time, but why do you think people don't want to talk about it?
Because they're fearful that they won't get work. I would say that is the reason. I would say that brands, if you took a stance on your usages, and just clearing this up, I'm not taking a stance on my usages, but if you took a major stance where you were like, no, then people would go, not working with him too hard. So that's why
everyone who could potentially hire Dom, he's not too hard to work with. He's just passionate. Please hire him. He will work with you. But he just wants to share the gospel of usages and protect brands and people.
And the reason I am doing it as well, part of the reason I am doing it is because I am sure there are many a photographer out there and many an influencer out there who is working the slog, giving imagery away, giving content away to brands, and they're not getting paid, or they're getting paid diddly squat, and they're struggling, and they're either caught in a life that they didn't think would happen, because I've heard these stories, influencers being caught, and I'm going around in circles. I can't get out, but I want to get out. So because so if that whole industry bound together, the influencer world, the photographer world bound together and had set rates, set usages, all that kind of stuff was clear.
Like a beautiful
rainbow photography utopia.
Yeah.
The work would be a lot better.
You really tugged my heartstrings just there. You really emphasized the importance of it. Now we're going to post this and hope.
And hopefully people hire me.
People still hire you because, holy Jesus, I'm scared.
I've got 3 layers on. I'm sweating.
Yeah, I bet you are. I feel like I just went to war with you.
No.
Well, that was a very...
How do you feel about that? Are you shitting yourself? You're so questioning yourself, aren't you? Should I post this? Should I not?
No, I do want to post it, but I'm scared that people will be angry and go, well, you've just used people's images before in the past. Like, I think we've all made mistakes, or we've all regrammed, we've all done things.
Sure. And I've got angry at Meghan for using people's imagery and not sharing. I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, sometimes my genuine reason is I didn't know who did it. But I think we've all been there, but now we are educated. We are all trying to be better in 2020. So, best friends still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Killer.
Bye.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. If you've got any more questions, please don't hesitate to email me. My email is dominic@citizensoftheworld.cc.
And you can also find our blogs at citizenscontent.com. You can hire us for work at citizenscontent.com.
Yeah. If you still want to hire me,
if
then
you dare. We're professionals. And also, if you want to talk about anything that we've discussed in this podcast, just head to the Content Crusaders podcast community on Facebook.
And
what?
Big news.
What?
Citizens of the World is going on with a little bit of a facelift at the moment, so please keep your eyes open for that.
Yeah.
And we are looking for people who are living throughout the world and want to share their story. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So speaking of user-generated content,
if you give us usages to that, no, I'm
we're not selling it.
No,
oh my God!
I'm just saying, we're just sharing it.
Darkness, my old friend.
We're just sharing it. So anyway, check it out, citizensoftheworld.cc.